Let me just open chats along. Cool.
Yes, make sure you got your shit open. I should probably actually open up on my side too.
Did you
Everyone
share it
can hear
on?
me?
Did you share it on Discord?
No, I still need to paste it there actually,
Okay, cool.
because I am.
I'll do that, and you
everyone
can start the episode.
start the talk. Welcome everyone to Eco Point Cape Town. We are back for episode 10. This is titled The Final Leg. CloudBurst with you guys. I'll be hosting it. Sun is taking a breather for this week. I'm joined with GeneralSound as usual. And our special guests are Bezerk TCP. We have VirgoLiz and Riposte in the podcast with us here. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
And GeneralSound, do you want to say hi?
How's it, guys? Sorry, man, I'm busy copying the link over. Just taking
It's
a
cool.
long time.
We understand that copying a link takes full concentration. It's just one of those things that people have. Okay, jokes aside. I think we should start off with our special guests. Let's not do the best for last. Let's start with the best first. I think that's the way that we should go with it. So, VirgoLiz and Riposte, how are you two doing? How are you feeling with the end of this leg?
I think that I'm really happy with how it ended up. This has been like our best leg so far out of the 4. This is the best placement that we've got. We got top 4. We usually ended top 5, top 6. So yeah, I'm happy with where we are at now. We obviously still have a lot of work to do come Comic-Con. So Hammond is going to be in soon. We're hoping to get some nice strats with him, and yeah, then we'll see what happens at Comic-Con. But I'm really happy with where we are at now, because we've definitely just been improving, and that's nice and very motivating. Because if you feel like you're standing still, then it's so like, you kind of lose like interest, and it's demotivating. And then now, like, it just shows that we are improving because we're beating teams that we never ever used to even take maps from. So yeah,
Well,
feels good.
yeah, something I can tell you guys about that. I ranked Goliath Gaming above you guys previously, and you guys just showed up completely there and turned things around. So your work is definitely paying off, and I think I can actually ask some of the work here. How much of a slave driver is Liz on you guys, Riposte?
Slave driver? How do you mean now?
How hard does she make you work? I'm worried. I am very, very worried about what other connotations you could have there.
But okay.
He doesn't want to get in trouble, okay?
It's true. She can be pretty harsh on us sometimes, but I try to not be too harsh on everyone else, and like she said, things have been looking better, and when things look good, then everyone's happy. So it's not looking too hectic for us, but yeah, I mean, I've been just as her. We've been pretty happy with the with the team so far and how it's been going this leg, and yeah, that's about it.
So
Yeah, I mean,
just taking it like a few steps back, like, how did TC2CPs all start? Like, how did you guys get together? What happened? Like, how did you guys meet each other and make such a strong
I want to
team?
tell the story. Okay, so we started up basically with Barnacle and Gastlee, previously known as Dark Magician. They started up the Discord, the COWSA Discord, and then they wanted to start a team. They wanted to like create their own team, not with them involved, but just helping us, coaching us a bit, and then leave us and set us free in the big world. And then so basically the current team that we have, me, Riposte, and who's the other original?
That was there was.
It was Giga. He's our sub now. So I think we like started off like obviously 6 people, and then like people just left and came, and this was right after Rage last year. So this was what, November? I'm not sure. I think Rage was in August. I'm not sure.
It was around about just before Rage we got together, and just a little bit after Rage finished, then we started,
started
getting
up.
things together.
Yeah. So then, like a lot of people left and came, and then yeah, we ended up with our core team right now is what we ended up with last year November. So like it happened very fast. Like the originals, like when I'm saying originals, like everyone now is actually originals except for Ashbro because he joined this year. But everyone joined. Like we're a solid team. We've been a solid team since last year November, end of November, and then we just started like playing through. So it was all thanks to Barnacle and Gastlee actually.
Yeah, they were
because,
really good.
Yeah,
They
they
did a
got
good job
everyone
putting
together
us
and put us.
together.
Yeah, and then also we just became really good friends. Like I flew down in beginning of this year just to go meet them, like Zombie Tart, Easy, Samjo, and Tox, because they live there. So I flew down for a weekend and we like were partying there and stuff, and it was so nice to to like meet them. I just like I feel really that part of 2CP's success, like of not being the best team ever, like in VS, but I really feel like part of our success is so much to do with how good friends we are at the end of the day. Like we all really enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, so you guys have really good chemistry. I mean,
Yes,
chemistry brings out good
synergy and all that.
synergy.
Yeah.
So, that's absolutely fantastic.
And-
I love those types of teams.
Yeah, I find in
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
especially in Overwatch, like you gotta trust your teammates, like especially in a game like Overwatch, because like
Definitely.
if you have like your diva, if your diva is going in, you're gonna trust him to defense matrix you if you're gonna make a aggressive play, for example. So that's important, and you
Yeah.
can
Very.
it translates in your like gameplay. Like when I played against you guys a couple of times, and you can feel it, like everybody's just supporting each other, and it's it's amazing to see.
Yeah, I think as you say, trust especially, it's been growing. It takes time, but when you get to a point where everyone knows what their job is, everyone knows that their teammate is doing this. The communication gets better as we go along, and we improve these things over the course of the year, and as trust gets better, all that, it really it really starts putting the team together in such a way that everyone's doing their job, and you can really know that you just need to fulfill your job and things will work out.
And I can imagine your Riposte as being such an aggressive tank. You need that support without looking back.
You really need the support going forward. Eh?
I like to show him who's boss. You gotta establish the alpha male dominance. Put it like that. Alpha main tank.
Alpha main tank. Is that what we should be referring to you as now? I think I'm gonna give you a what I'm gonna in COWSA actually. I'm gonna every week whilst we're playing, I'm gonna pass around a role titled Alpha Main Tank.
And give it to the best tank in the week.
Yeah, best tank in the week is gonna get Alpha Main Tank, and they can flaunt it as much as they want. I'll give them like the brightest red color they could possibly see, so they can show it off to everybody and show how alpha they are in the tank role.
That's actually an awesome idea. I actually like it.
That sounds like a good plan.
But it's just that now you have to earn it as well. You can't just come tell us this. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, that's what I'm here. I'm here to prove it.
So this is the starting trial. This podcast is actually just the trial of Riposte's alpha tank standings, I guess. I couldn't think of the right word there, but it still works.
So we need to make one for Mercy Main as well.
Yeah, Sham, give them support and some love as well. They feel underappreciated.
With a nice bright pink color, whatever.
I'm sorry, but we can't just be giving these alpha roles to anyone. There's only one alpha at a time.
And that's a main tank, yeah.
Riposte knows this. He was the one who should have been saying this. Actually, I'm deducting points here.
Unlucky. Yeah, that's my best anti-tilt word. So it keeps me from tilting. So now I can get back straight in there, get in the game, get in the game, and get the points back on the board.
So talking about anti-tilt, what is your communications like when you're playing a match?
Dependent.
Yeah, like we've been working a lot on it, and we've been getting everyone to talk more, because the more information that is out there, in the channel, in the Discord channel, the more information is out there, it's just better because you might not hear everything, but you can or let's say you might hear everything, but you might not be able to respond to everything. But all that information, the more you get, the better, because you can always listen, improve your listening, and it's hard to get people to talk in the first place rather than
Then not.
Yeah, because I can imagine as a main tank, if somebody will be like Genji no deflect or Diva no defense matrix, it gives your decision making, especially as Winston, what's the easiest dive target.
Exactly.
So I've always told my teams always make that call outs, because it makes the team's decisions much easier to get onto a certain target.
Yeah, so if a Genji doesn't have his dash, for example, then as a Winston main, as a Winston player, I can just jump on him, and if I have support or if he doesn't have support, then he's kind of screwed. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really nice knowing that, and I imagine that jokes are also abundant in your communications. Just judging by the way that you two are chatting now, and knowing that all 6 of you are quite close friends, including your sub for that matter, I imagine.
Yeah, they're also very close to the team. They're I just want to go to our subs quickly, because I've spoke to some other captains, obviously not everyone, and people seem to struggle with their subs, certain people or teams. And then I just look back at our subs, and then I feel so appreciative for their commitment. They're so committed. I thought it was normal until I spoke to some other captains, and then I hear it's really not. They struggle to get a hold of their subs, where ours would sit in a custom game to warm up throughout the game, just in case someone DCs.
Yeah,
I promise
that's
you.
amazing.
They
Yeah,
do
that's
that.
fantastic.
It's you would miss the stream because he wants to focus on warming up, and that's what he does throughout the game until it's done, just in case. So
That's fantastic.
they're definitely very much part of the team and the banter and all that is happening, comms, everything. They're always there.
yeah.
That's really cool, and I think that I actually put out a bit of a public service announcement here. Just be hey teams, treat your subs nicely, and subs.
Yeah.
They're humans too.
Play. No, subs. You're part of a team. Play with your team. You're not separate. Stop pretending you are.
I also want to take
Get in
this.
there.
I also want to take this time to give credit to Shadow Skippy, who's in our team, who used to he'll sit at every VOD and record the VODs, upload it to YouTube, and do it in such a manner where he's recording it at the right angle so we can do proper VOD reviews on it. So just props to him while we
That's
speaking
awesome.
about it.
Subs need more love. The ones that put the time and effort in.
Yeah.
Hashtag subs need more love. That's on you. That's a hashtag for this week.
So
Spam
now
it
we
in
have
the
2
Discord.
things from this. We have hashtag subs need love and
More love.
more love. Okay, so hashtag subs need more love. Also, on top of that, this is a dangerous hashtag to have. But over here, I guess it works. And we also need the alpha main tank role to be
There we go.
assigned to someone who deserves it.
Yeah.
So, so we got things going for us there. I just want to know, before we move over to standings, we do know that, of course, with the title of this, the last leg, we have had the last leg of VS Gaming last week. It ended just yesterday, Sunday. We had our last few matches. So all the standings at the moment are locked in place going towards Comic-Con. I want to know from you two of Bezerk Gaming's 2CP, do you have anything else to talk about before we move over to chatting about the First Division blokes, who have done quite awesome, they put on quite the show going forward to head over to playoffs?
Yeah, I think we can move on, because I actually was also quite excited to watch the playoffs, like Phoenix Rising, DDC, and Prodigy. I think those were the ones that I watched that happened, the big ones.
Yeah,
And
good game.
yeah, that was exciting. Let's move on to that. I think we've talked enough about us.
Well, I still, don't worry, whilst you're here, we're still going to be firing questions at you guys whenever we see it fit. So
Alright.
stay on your toes, keep
Okay.
that alpha posture at the ready. So I mean, looking at First Div, we saw some absolutely mental games, of course, and not mental games as in requiring a lot of brain power, which they did, but mental is in the way that it was absolutely insane. Just a bit of information for how VS Gaming runs their standings and such going into Comic-Con. It's the top 6 teams of Premier Division, and then they automatically go through to Comic-Con. They have spots in the top 8 for Comic-Con. But then the bottom 2 of Premier Division have to fight off playoffs, which will be starting tomorrow and ending on Thursday, against the top 2 of Premier Division. I mean, First Division, my mistake. So, First Division, there was a huge battle for the top 2 slots of First Division, and I'd say there were 4 teams that really deserved it, but the 3 teams really shone out above the rest to try and get that one. And those 3 teams, I'm going to go in descending order, would be DDC Dominion, Inexorable Project, which used to be Project Orflex. They were picked up by Inexorable Gaming probably just last week. I think it was in the works a bit earlier than that, but now they have it. And then Phoenix Rising Overwatch as well. Those were the top 3, and XVG Equinox would be 4th in that regard. And they tried really hard to get there, but they just couldn't get the win percentage to match up to the other 3 teams there. So they were very close, but just not quite there. But that's the situation they were in. So the fight for the top was realer than it has ever been in First Division, because the top 2 there have a chance to still get into Comic-Con, although they're only in First Division. So that's what that looks like. That's what makes it exciting. But I'm going to go right back to the bottom of First Division, and we're going to move up from there. And please stop me, because I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here about some teams. not an angry rant. It's just going to be a bit of information there. So just looking at the order, just going ascending this time, we look at OG Interitus and XVG Solstice at the bottom of the pack there. They both have 6 losses, which is quite strange. How do you have more games played? Okay, anyways, so that's 6 losses for both those teams, but XVG Solstice did manage to get 1 win there. OG Interitus sadly was unable to pick up a win in the current leg. They did fight very hard, but they just weren't able to make it out there. I'm not too sure what needs to change there, but they definitely need to kick it up a bit. There is a high chance, I'm pretty sure they will be relegated over to ladder there, but it's probably not going to be too hard for them to kick it right back up once the legs start up again after Comic-Con. So XVG Solstice, almost in a similar position to Interitus there. They did manage to pick up 1 win, but it wasn't quite enough there for them. So both the teams they're sitting on is 0 win percentage. I see what happened there with Interitus. Actually, they had 1 forfeit, which we know was to Perseus, which we'll also discuss about quite soon when we get to
Perseus, you mean Project, maybe?
I'm not
Perseus.
Perseus is in Prem.
I am absolutely terrible. I'm gonna look right now at exactly where the forfeit was from. It was to Solstice. Sorry, my mistake there. So Solstice, yeah, going through a similar situation there. I'm not too sure what needs to change. I think those 2 teams just need to really sit back and train it out to get onto the same level as the other teams in First Division, because they have quite a lot of work to do. And they have been in and out of First Division themselves as well. So I think they do have the experience. They just need the training and the synergy to get kicked back there so they can get up there. But then looking at the next 2 teams, I think there's quite a bit we can talk about these 2 teams. Evolution Esports, which has gone through multiple name changes, and Chronic Wolfpack, who just came to First Division this leg and showed up above 2 teams that have been in First Division before, which is an interesting sight to see, and quite nice to see as well, having new blood come in and do well. So I'm not too sure if any of you guys have anything to say about either of these teams.
I think Evolution Esports, they showed like really good quality. Taking a map of us was quite surprising. They have the likes of Necros in the team, who's a Masters player. Who
Necros.
And the Necros, and
look at that alpha just correcting him.
Not the but yeah, he's a Genji main for them, and he plays Hanzo as well, so it's quite ironic.
Okay.
So he surprised us. He like really carried that team, but at the same time, the team is like trying to find identity, and you can see it's like some maps they are really strong, especially on the Genji type of maps, because that's where Necros can shine.
Yeah,
And
tell us about some of the Genji maps. Let's give our viewers a bit of insight
I'm
on.
trying to think what map did we use against them. I can't remember because it's been so well, but
It's been, yeah, it was a lot earlier in this
Yeah.
leg that it happened. I mean, that's up to 3 to 4
And,
weeks
yeah.
ago. So,
but like Genji maps I can think of is like Numbani for one.
yeah.
And yeah, no, I can't think right now. Maybe also Hanamura, the hometown of Genji.
But I mean, having a
Hanamura,
Shimada
yes.
player.
Hometown.
yeah,
Yeah. Hanamura can work too.
but yeah, I lost my train of thought now. Thanks, Cloud.
It's a pleasure. That's what I'm here for.
So moving on.
All yours. Okay. So moving on from that, I mean, Evolution Esports have had multiple roster changes, multiple name changes, of course, being picked up from Evo Esports, which is a very new MGO
Yeah.
on the scene. They were previously Ali Dog Gaming's Slinky, to my
Yeah.
understanding. That
Yeah.
was ADG Slinky. Of course, to my understanding, their captain, he has left the scene. He had
Yeah.
personal things he had to attend to, but we've discussed this before, so I'm not going to go too in depth there. But they were sitting on a 3 wins to 4 losses. Even though they have 1 less loss, so they would be at about that's about a 40-something% win rate. Their win rate on the maps are actually 52%. So even though they're down a BO3, they definitely won a lot of maps
Yeah,
in the situation.
They
Which-
took a lot of maps of players and of teams, and a lot of the other
Yeah.
team captains was like who I spoke to. They were like saying they are actually a strong team, and we'll see them at their full strength next season. Hopefully, we will see the best out of them because, like I said, you can see they're still struggling to find their identity. Which what type of style they want to play? Do they want to play dive? Do they want to play more of a death ball composition? It's like they're still trying to find that identity, and we'll see it next year definitely.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the next season that we see them come out. I mean, once they get to train together a bit more, they sort things out. It's going to be a fantastic showing from them, and I could actually see them possibly move over to Prem in a short amount of time. It really depends where the rosters go, though, which we can't speculate at all. I mean, that's what Comic-Con's for. We can really see what everything looks like because that's when all the teams will be bringing their A+ game.
But
We've
one
seen
thing,
their A game. But
yeah,
yeah.
one thing I want to mention though, this league and the teams in Division 1 at the moment is really strong. Like, especially the top 5. It's something we didn't expect. We thought it's going to be quite I'll admit it, and we mentioned it in the last podcast that it's going to be quite we were expecting an easy run for us. But the team stepped up in such a huge way, especially Project Equinox as well, and DDC. They're all defining they are can be in Prem. The way they especially Project. I have to mention Project. They their counter picking was so strong. We weren't expecting it from them, and props to whoever's doing the stat calling for them. They really proved it against us, how to defend against our composition. You could see they studied our VODs and knew exactly what compositions we're going to change to when things don't go our way.
Yeah, I saw that game. Was quite tough, but you could see there's a lot of competition in First Division, as you say.
Yeah,
and it was nice to see.
It's definitely nice.
Some high level play.
Yeah.
In First,
Yeah, to my understanding, I mean, I came after midway through the season of VS Gaming. So, that's when I came into the scene. So I do know that there's a whole bunch of history behind me that I'm not too aware of. But to my understanding, First Division was always a lot further away from Prem Division in skill. But that distance is closing every leg, it seems, that we've come to this year. That gap has just been closing bit by bit. And I mean, just to kick back a bit here, of course, that's a nice overview of what the scene's looking like, saying that First Division is actually doing quite well. Evo, as you said, once they find their identity, they are going to be a name to watch. And I think that Evo Esports as the MGO is very happy that they picked him up now because they're able to grow with them, which is fantastic. But kicking back just down in a position there over to number 6, which is Chronic Wolfpack, coming in from ladder over to First Division, barely any games played in VS Gaming for this. I mean, they scrimmed left, right, and center. I think they played 4 ladder matches, which is 4 more than most people in ladder. they managed to take it 2 wins to 5 losses. Of course, those 2 wins would be against XVG, Solstice, and OG and Terratus. And they have a 30% win percentage here. So they've actually put on quite a showing. I think that they've come in with quite an impact to First Division.
And we
A
noticed.
lot of teams.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I was thinking we noticed
No,
last week
go for it.
when Paragon was on, and he was like telling us the thought process of how they go into games and stuff like that. So it's like it's also a team that's new and also finding their identity. I think give them time, they'll also be a very strong team in the Division 1, the First Division. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see them really doing well if they can keep it together and train a bit more to more as a team and get that synergy. Maybe they can, because I know that they were all friends already and they were actually in a team before and they split up from there. They were originally an amalgamation with what Evo Esports used to be. So they are all friends. Maybe they can get a similar synergy to what we see from Bezerk TCP with you two. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but I think if they, as you say, why not? I mean, it just takes a lot of time and effort, but once you can get to that point, you can really give quite a showing. And I think a lot of teams underestimated them, with them just a random name coming through from ladder into first div. And that's where they were able to pick up, because I mean 30%, 28.57% to be exact, that's a little bit above 2 out of 5 for the win-losses. So they did take a few maps off of players, off of teams. So that's quite great for them. So yeah, definitely Evo Esports, Evo Evolution Esports and Chronic Wolfpack teams to watch if you want to see growth and you want to see something coming up for the next season, because of course these teams that we're talking about now have not made it into the playoffs for Comic-Con. But moving up the list here, XVG Equinox. Now, this is a team that I was always underestimating, and without a fault, they would prove me wrong every single time, showing that they are a lot stronger than they seem. And I'm not too sure if anyone else has shared the sentiment that I have with this, or if I just completely misread the scene at the moment. But yeah, I think they have some star players there.
One thing I respect from Equinox is Blur. He came to me after our game against them and asked for took out his notepad and stuff and asked me for tips and stuff. And I gave him quite a long essay what he can work on and stuff. And then a couple of days later they played DDC and they beat him. So
yeah,
it's amazing to see these players. It reminds me of me when I started last year, because that's what I used to do. I remember the first time I played Energy. I can't remember what I messaged after Energy, because we got easy clapped, and I was like, what can we work on and what can I do? Because I just wanted to get better, you know what I mean? And that's and that's the mindset every player should have. It's don't be scared to ask the top players what you should do, you know what I mean? Because this community is more than willing to help one another, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's a nice thing we have in our community, actually. I'm sure a lot of people can vouch for that, is that we are open to assisting each other. It is a very competitive environment, but we all want growth together in the community. And if you're helping all the teams get better, everyone gets better together. It's one of those things that the growth just it's exponential. The more people grow, the more that the rest of the teams will grow around such. So I think it's great having that.
Yeah.
One thing I also want to chirp in here is obviously because we're in Prem, we don't really get much to do with first division teams except for usually the top 2 who comes in and out of Prem. So DDC and Phoenix Rising, I'm well aware of the players. I kind of know everyone but then the rest, I like the rest that do play pugs. I met most of them through pugs, and that's how they came on my radar.
Yep.
Which is just also something that I think is so good. Is the whole pugs thing that we're doing on this Discord it really helps fill that connection between the Prem teams and the first division teams. Yeah. Just playing together, getting to know each other on a social level, not necessarily on a competitive level, but we all actually now know of each other, and you see some hidden talents in certain teams coming out in pugs. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Definitely a valid point. And yeah, maybe that brings up to the topic that you wanted to bring up, Cloud, about the disconnect between some players. Like if you had to make a first division team and a prem team, put them together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, something, I mean, we were discussing this just before going live, something that I think could be done to the scene. And it's not something that necessarily needs to be forced. I think that is something that is just going to happen over time once we see more more investment into the Overwatch scene in South Africa. We're going to be seeing possibly some more institutions putting up tournaments, maybe more prize money. VS Gaming's prize money is still not confirmed. Maybe we have a massive prize pool or something. And if that's the case, people are going to get a lot more competitive about it because it becomes a lot more serious. And I'm not trying to take away from the fact that we've just talked about how much fun playing competitively can be, and you can have friends and you can get your synergy out of being friends with everyone on your team. I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of teams or a lot of players go and actually, or hear from the community and stuff of saying you're actually better than the team you're in, or your like 2 of your players might be picked up by a different MGO or something. You're going to start seeing things like this, and that's very healthy for a competitive environment. Because, like, let's just say, as an example, this is just completely hypothetical. XVG, Solstice, and OG Interitus. Let's just say both of those teams actually have star players, but they're not able to play that well because they're in the bottom teams of first division. And well, after this relegated to ladder, we could see teams possibly in the higher echelons of first division or even in Prem go, wow, this is someone that if we nurture them with our team, they could really improve as a player and would assist us in winning. And I could see that happening going forward, and I'm all for that. I hope it does start happening.
Look, at the end of the day, it's what it does is it creates more of a competitive sprint within players to get better and be like, oh, like this guy took my spot, I'm gonna prove my NGO or my captain wrong, that I'm better than him. You know what I mean? And just grind harder, like do the solo grind. And I encourage with that to all players. If you're not getting picked, like prove, like show them what you can do to your team. Maybe they can even choose you in a map where you like, say for instance, you just one trick Genji, and then don't think if somebody takes your spot, you can. There's still like a map you can play Genji on, and then prove to your team you can even mention it to your captain, saying, look here, try me out on, for example, Numbani, and I can pop off as Genji, you know what I mean, better than the other player, you know what I mean? And then in a scrim, try it out, and if it works, then you have this in your arsenal. Teams will have it.
Yeah, and I can see that also, specifically mentioning scrims. That's where teams need to start trying these things. I mean, we've seen some very cheeky changes. For example, on 8-Bit Oddity, what we just saw last night, that was casted by Trinok and myself. We saw between Mutant Gun and Seraphim, they kept swapping between support and tank roles. And I feel situations like that, if there's a map or a situation that favors your playstyle over your teammates in that role, you should definitely swap it out, because just because you are titled as that role, a game like Overwatch, you're able to innovate and change to get that win and play better as a team. And I think scrims are the perfect place to try things like that out. And I can't wait for us to start seeing star players shine in each team going forward. And it'll be almost like I've seen very, very small scale of what they do with Overwatch Contenders, where you'll see they basically have teams just so that players can show off how well they do, and Overwatch League teams can pick them up.
Yeah, they even let their subs play just so that they can sort of trade. They can show off that player's skill, and then they can sort of trade that player for other players if they need someone in a different role, or someone who's more flexible, or somewhere where they have like, a trick up their sleeve to pull out in a dire situation. So,
yeah, completely.
And how many times have you seen
to see more of that?
Yeah, like how many times in Overwatch League have you seen like teams, especially now when the Brigator meta came out, and there were some players that, DPS players that came into the core role because they could flex onto Brigator and a DPS when needed. So when they play a certain map, then they know like on this certain point of the map they don't need Brigator. They need that player can move over to like a Tracer or Genji or whatever, or Widowmaker, because he has it in his full.
Yeah, talking about this, whilst we're actually on the sideline of First Division, is actually quite fantastic, because just looking at Inexorable Project, who used to be Project Allflex, and just judging by that name, I would imagine it comes from the fact that a lot of their players can
Flex,
play
yeah.
quite flexible roles. Of course, some of them definitely more proficient in their specified role. We have seen when they play, they are very easily going to swap over to different characters for that situation.
Yeah.
You'll see. I really can't think of the actual player names now that I've seen before that
Not
who
Groot,
swaps where.
not Groot, and
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Palnatoke.
looking at like Not Groot, Senshi, Palnatoke, Chippy,
Yeah.
Ice 180 as well. I've seen Ice
Yeah.
180 swap
Aquatic
roles
as
left, right,
well.
and center. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
And-
definitely a very flexible player.
Yeah.
Ice 180. I've played quite a bit with him in pugs and all that, and it's great to see, someone who's very flexible
And a lot
and
of
just can go off tank, go DPS,
Yeah.
go main tank, whatever is needed.
and you see it in the pugs. They come into pugs and they're usually flexing in pugs, which is awesome to see. And maybe that's a training ground to like practice as heroes for all flex. So we must take notes next time we play pugs, guys.
Yeah, play pugs is like, oh, Allflex is trying weird shit again. Oh, but I mean, let's reel in a bit. We have gone a bit off the rails here, but it's definitely a very good conversation to have, and I hope the scene does advance that way. But
Yeah.
Equinox, as I said, a lot stronger than what they seem to me,
Mhm.
and they have shown that off with a 5-2 win loss and 64% win percentage over on the maps, which is pretty good. I mean, as long as you're over 50%, you're doing something right. I mean, at the end of the day, you're definitely doing something right in the situation, and anything above, I would say, 60. Yeah, anything above 60%, you know that you're getting there, and you deserve better than where you are right now. I think XPG Equinox is just that tipping point of being a fantastic team, and as usual with all teams, I'm actually going to stop saying it, with all teams, just a bit more practice, a bit more exposure, scrimming
Yeah.
some internationals and such, they'll be able to get there.
Yeah.
Moving up now, this is the toughest one to talk about, I'd say, is Phoenix Rising. And Jen, I don't mean that in regards to talking with you, I just mean that the timeline
Yeah.
that we had, what would be the right word? Predicted
Yeah.
would be the right word in our previous podcasts and the community in general. This was a bit of an upset.
Yeah.
And it was a very exciting one as well.
Mhm.
So I mean, I think it would be easier for you to talk about than me.
Yeah. It's a bit of a tough one to swallow still for me, even though it's like been almost a week now. Actually, yeah, I think it was Thursday our last game, and it boiled down to basically simple mistakes we've made that we should have ironed out a lot earlier, and underestimating our opponents as well. And we showed too much respect to the opponents. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's something we should have been more aggressive. We should have trust each other, and like we were saying at the beginning of this podcast, and we just ended up couldn't finishing up some of the maps, and I don't know what more to say. So it's so hard for me to think about.
Yeah.
Because,
No, completely.
because at the end of it, it's like it was my last season, and I called my retirement on the Discord. So yeah, you can imagine how I feel about it.
No, I can imagine it's not an
Yeah.
easy one to continue. I just thought I'd get a bit of words from you there, but as just by the name there, it's Phoenix Rising, and the whole thing about a Phoenix is that once they fall, they come back.
Yeah,
and they
100%.
and they should come back stronger than ever. So I don't think it's the end of Phoenix Rising at all. I mean, they still put up a 70.83 win percentage, which is very good.
So at the end of just to announce it now on the podcast, I will be taking the coaching role for Phoenix Rising going forward now.
Okay.
And we're gonna be building up a much stronger core now, but nothing to mention. I can't mention anything just yet. And you'll hear from us in the next couple of weeks what our plans are and what we're gonna be doing.
Yeah, I can't imagine you guys going anywhere. You guys are pillars of the community, by all means. And I mean, it's one of those tragedies that I'm very, very excited for what the kickback is going to be, because, and this is just not in the name, it's also in the play style and the way that we've seen you guys play, of course, falling from Premier Division to First Division, and just so close to the top there, but not able to make it. And with the reasons that you pointed out there, you guys are going to be coming back like a house on fire. No one's going to know what to do against it. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really, really excited
I
for
hope
that.
so, because I'm going to be very hard on the players going forward, so they better watch out, because I'm going to be sorry. Because as a player, you still, like, you don't know what's happening in the back line. You don't know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You mention it in VODs, but it still becomes, like, you don't want to tell them because you don't want him to tilt in-game and stuff. So if it comes from, like, a person that's, like, more neutral and they're going to flame everybody, then they'll accept it more, you know what I mean? And that's, like,
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so you could say you're gonna be a slave driver.
Following in my footsteps.
You can give me that role on Discord.
Okay. No. We can't give out all the roles under the sun now. Let's be
But
careful
look,
here.
like on the light side, the last two games was like, especially the last game against DDC, mad props to them. It was a showcase, and I hope, like, you guys, I know you guys said you were watching, and it was an intense game, but it was one of the most funnest games I've had, and I'm so happy that I ended like my, like, you know, I called my retirement on this game, because it was, for me, everything, like, there was stuff that was just going right, and there was so much emotions. You can, I'm sure as the viewer as well, you guys could feel the emotions translating in the game.
It was probably the best game or I want to say of the season. And I actually think I'm going to point it out that up till now, season being pretty much over now, of course, we're going into playoffs and then Comic-Con. I would say that for the leg portion of the season, that was the best game, because not only was it full of massive things on the line, there were, from both teams, there was a lot on the line to win this, and the emotions involved in it as well were just at its peak. So you definitely went out with a bang, and I think we're all looking forward to you taking that coaching role.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, time will have to tell here. I mean, still winning getting a 70.83 win percentage is still very good.
Yeah. Look here, we're still proud of what we've done and what we've accomplished, but we still feel that we should have taken it comfortably, but just like that, not like that. How can I say? Like, we weren't expecting the project to be so strong, and DDC. So full credit goes out to them for like stepping up in a huge way, and they both teams to watch out for the future. 100%.
Yeah, and I'm glad you discussed it now, because here we go into the upper echelons of First Division. Inexorable Project just being picked up by MGO. DDC Dominion topping the logs. Both of these teams are going to be going into the playoffs for Comic-Con against the bottom two teams from Premier. And as you were saying, the Inexorable Project looking very good at the moment. 78.26 win percentage.
Yeah.
That's only... I'm not going to do the maths now, but DDC Dominion's at a 79.16 win percentage, and that is neck and neck. They're both on 6 wins, 1 loss. And a team like DDC Dominion against First Division here, they looked almost unstoppable. They had a very rough time against Phoenix Rising, but they were taken down by XVG Equinox. So, I mean, between these two teams, they're pretty much tied. I can't, I can't separate them. I mean, they have a 1% different in win percentage. That's nothing.
I just want to ask from like Riposte and VirgoLiz, what you guys thoughts on like the games you have seen, especially the high tier games. What's your take on it?
On what, First Division?
Yeah, First Division.
So like we've played DDC before, obviously, because they were in Prem last leg, and I can't really comment on them now, as in the view of playing them, because their team has changed so much. The roster is so different from when we played them. But it's, for me, it's like I usually like measure a team by playing them.
Yeah.
It's difficult for me to measure when you like watching a cast. I find it very difficult to, because like the level of gameplay is different in each division. So if you're watching like Eden versus Boostio's, it might look boring compared to a game like DDC versus let's say Phoenix Rising, because it's closer.
The same level,
But at the end of the day, they're playing at completely different levels. But the DDC game looks a lot more hyped because it's a lot closer. So I don't know. It's difficult for me to say. I don't know, Rip, if you have anything to add to that.
I haven't seen. Yeah, I've only seen the Phoenix Rising game.
Yeah.
Who did you guys play against
Project.
on Thursday? So it
No,
was
Thursday. No, it was
Project.
DDC on Thursday
Uh,
and Project on
Mm.
Tuesday.
Oh, it
yeah.
was DDC.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, same. Yeah, it's tough to say just from watching, especially if you don't, because most of the games get a lot of the time you'll show the sort of the angle so that everyone
Yeah.
can see,
The
third
overview.
person view where you can see
Yeah.
what's going on. But yeah, it's hard to say skill levels of the individuals, but the teamwork looked pretty
Yeah,
decent, I
like,
guess.
I'll
Yeah.
I will call it now. Like DDC,
They definitely stepped.
they're a very intelligent team with banking ultimates, and
Yes,
same with Project, but Project Allflex on the other hand, or Project, whatever they call themselves now, they are a team that's very intelligent counter picking. So they're teams that's like really like they're not like Project. I know is not a team that's like highly skilled in SR, but they're a team that gets together and tries to understand and like know how counter picking works and how every hero interacts with every hero. You know what I mean? So they
that's all you need.
Yeah.
SR is just a number.
yeah,
Like there's so many people, like even in my team, in other teams, especially first division teams, that like they're like high diamond players, but they're sitting in mid plat or high plat.
Yeah.
And I know this is just my opinion. A lot of people feel different about it. I'm not saying this is everyone's case, but there is
Yeah.
people that has just been really unlucky or not putting enough effort into comp.
yeah,
But if you like look at their pure individual skill, it really does not look like a just your
Yeah.
average plat player. They should be in like high diamond, but yeah, that's just my opinion, and that's why I
Nah.
would never look at a team's SR and determine
Aye.
a win just for purely
Yeah.
from that.
I
Just
100%
because
agree with
synergy
you.
and all that also playing such a big
I
role.
agree.
Yeah.
Especially if you underestimate a team like that, then you can get caught off guard, and
Yeah, like
that's not nice.
for example, I can like Riposte, and I know you grind a lot, and
Yeah,
you
I do try my best to
and for
grind
ex-
the ladder,
and I'll give
and
you
yeah, it's just so I do that because I do a lot of solo queue because
Yeah.
I feel like I can get my true SR if I grind solo
Yeah.
queue, because if you're playing with other people, then you'll sort of
it's a different mindset.
mix-up,
Yeah, it's a different
But-
mindset
Yeah,
because
and also you're not relying on other
Yeah.
players as much. You're relying on your personal skill, so it gives
Yeah,
you a
and
nice
that's the
yeah,
gauge of where you are. Yeah.
like
yeah,
same with
that's
like
a great thing.
like
you can
why-
just focus on yourself.
like why I brought it up because this season I didn't grind like at all. Like I've been playing a lot of my Smurfs where I didn't care that much, you know what I mean? But for example, last season and the season before, I grinded quite a lot. I grinded my main account a lot, and I like reached season high of 3.8. And it just shows that if you keep grinding, you're gonna crack that code. Like you know what it takes to like grind the ladder. And that's what I tell a lot of my teammates is just don't be scared. Go in. You're gonna lose 300 SR at one point, but you're gonna gain it again if you believe in yourself and you believe you can. You know what to do on certain heroes. You know what I mean? Or play your main and just like grind it
Yeah.
out. Find out what's
Yeah.
that individual mistake you make all the time. You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
even if you get higher in solo queue, you end up starting to learn new things from the players that you play with and
Yeah.
against, which is really cool as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's grinding ranked is, they say it's not it's not ideal, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a way to focus on improving your own
Individual skill. Yeah.
and
Yeah. Because that's exactly what I
true
do.
sense and all that.
Yeah, like exactly what I do. I like know if, for example, I knew I had like this habit where I'll reload all the time, like just randomly reload, and or when I was
on Zarya, for example.
yeah, Zarya.
I know I do that.
And we have also spam jump like an idiot all the time, and then widows just kill me so easily. So there's times where I'll just be like, okay, this game I'm just gonna unbind my space key and just walk around and use my AD strafe to dodge shit. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I think just those 2 points there is something that people often, especially newer players, don't actually think of. Is like in a lot of other FPS games, reloading after you get a kill or something is Did we
Sorry.
lose Jan?
Yeah, lost you guys.
Oh,
My
he's
bad.
Ah,
It's Web Africa.
Anyway, all I was saying there was just that definitely something to take away from what you're saying was the mechanical advantages you can get from what you just said there, with the not jumping around all the time, not reloading all the time, which is often
Yeah.
you do see both those things happen in other FPS games. And mentioning something as basic as don't do that too often. For viewers that aren't at the upper echelons of play, it's really cool to just hear something like that. I'm including myself here.
Yeah.
I do that myself. I know that for a fact, and I know it's a problem. But just someone saying it, I'm like, wow, I should actually start not doing that.
Yeah.
So
It's like
that's cool in that
at
regard.
the end of the day, it's just to simply put it out there, it's like you want to get value out of what you have, like the most values. Because sometimes, like, what you'll do as a Zarya, you'll just, like, in the mid-fight be like, oh shit, spamming that reload, like, for no reason, where you could have used that last little bit of ammo to right-click something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, moving on from there, of course, we do know mechanical advantage is a very big thing, and I think looking at mechanical advantage, I think this actually moves in quite smoothly. It's a bit of a rocky, bumpy ride, but it's still smooth to move into my next topic here. Was just to finish off First Division, of course, we do know that Inexorable Project and DDC Dominion are going to be at the top. But if we look at what happened on DDC's roster here, their front line is so strong at the moment. They picked up a player that I don't think anyone really heard of before, but Delayed Effect, or as we see him in game, Defect. He's applied so much pressure to all the teams that DDC has gone up against, and being able to have players like Officer Doofy next to him in the front line, it's been ridiculously strong, and they've been able to get Downs and Drunken Smurf and Bros to just come back from the back line whilst they're just destroying the front and apply all the pressure that they're known for their strong DPS play on, and also being able
Sorry.
to flex over.
Is
Yeah,
Bros playing for them again?
to my understanding, he is. I'm actually quite sure we
I saw
we saw
Downs. I
him.
think they're brothers. But yeah, I didn't
Okay.
know Bros was back in the roster. Okay. That makes more sense now.
I'm worried that I'm wrong, but I'm quite sure we did see Bros.
No, I will take your word for it. I only saw the
Hmm.
one game versus Phoenix Rising, so yeah, I might have
Yeah, I
missed him.
don't. Yeah, we didn't see him in that game.
Oh, but he played the other
Okay.
ones. Okay.
But
Yeah,
Yeah, that guy
I
is
don't know.
like, he is ridiculous. He is a ridiculous DPS. He is really,
he's
really
very good.
good. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, having him is definitely a big plus for your team.
Yes, I mean they've been putting in some really good results, especially with this new roster. As you said, they're practically, compared to what you last fought them in Premier before they dropped back down to first,
Yeah.
they're almost a completely different team now with their current roster.
And
And
what-
we've already spoken. Yeah.
And one thing I know, like, about them, like, from Prem already, is they are a team that really knows how to combo, like, the ults.
Yeah.
And that was,
yeah.
they were just, like, the final piece to the puzzle was getting a main tank. And Defect fits that spot so easily.
Yeah, Defect does fit that role really well. And then we've already talked briefly about Inexorable Project, the way that their playstyle works around their previous name of Project Allflex, where they can bring out ridiculous compositions, switching players around and such that you usually wouldn't see teams being able to pull out as efficiently, and they were able to do it. But with that, I want to get things a bit moving here. I think that wraps up First Division quite nicely. It was quite a long talk on First Division because it's been such an exciting leg, and there have been so many different things happening that were almost at the point of unexpected. But DDC, Dominion, and Inexorable Project coming out on top, moving over to the playoffs, and that leads us quite nicely to the bottom of Premier Division, where we'll be seeing the playoffs that they're going to be going up against on Prodigy and Perseus, both in the same clan, going forward into these playoffs for Comic-Con. And this is an interesting one. If we just look at their current win percentages for this leg, Perseus Rez are currently on 0 wins, 5 losses, and 2 forfeits that they did just at the end of the leg. And Prodigy Rez is on 1 win and 6 losses with only an 18.18% win percentage. And this is a big drop from what we saw previously of Prodigy actually doing pretty well over on the logs for the previous leg. And the likes of
They were
which
just one. Oh, no, wait, they were first. Sorry, yeah. No, sorry. Oh, I'm being so rude. I'm forgetting that I'm on a podcast. Sorry. Sorry. No, I was actually just thinking out loud. Yeah, they were fifth last leg, which is actually
Yeah.
quite a drop to end up in
Yeah.
7th place now.
So dropping down 7th there, I mean, that's definitely some of their sides. Other than other teams stepping up, I can definitely actually talk to you two now, VirgoLiz and Riposte, in regards to last leg. What was the score between Prodigy, Res, and yourselves?
It was 3-0.
3-0, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was a very tough game. I know that it did bring out a bit of controversy, but it was a tough game for you guys to play through, and them kind of being brought back to earth here after a very good showing in the previous leg. They now have to play in playoffs instead of getting that guaranteed 5th position, because of course the top 6 go through. And it's interesting having 2 teams from the same clan having to go up against, not up against each other directly through the playoffs. I'll actually give you guys the exact bracket going into the playoffs. So Tuesday, both of them at 8 o'clock. It's Perseus versus Dominion, and then Project Allflex versus Prodigy. Just that we've kind of touched on all 4 of these teams now. Just from that, looking at the current win percentages, even though it is a difference between playing in Prem and playing in First Division, I do feel that the Perseus versus Dominion fight here, Dominion is heavily favored.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be for Perseus to come
Yeah.
out on top here. I can imagine them taking a map, but I think it's going to be very tough for them to win the series against Dominion here, especially with Dominion's current roster being just a powerhouse of players. And I'm not too sure what they need to do there. I mean, just looking at Perseus's roster quickly, I do know that they've been having trouble getting players in and all that.
Yeah, and they had 2 forfeits, I believe, the last.
Yeah, so
games,
most
yeah.
recently, so it's not looking too good for them with their 2 forfeits. And to my understanding, the reason for their forfeit was that they couldn't get enough players to play at that time. And if we just look, their roster is currently 9 players. So they have 3 subs. Although Shadow is just a co-manager, he's not actually a player. So they have 2 subs at the moment, and they weren't actually able to put forward a roster to play for the last 2 matches. So I'm not too sure who in their roster is going to be playing for them for the playoffs, because we have been notified from them that they are going to be playing. There was a bit of a small bit of a controversy there because of their most recent 2 being forfeited. Players were asking, well, if you guys are forfeiting, are you actually going to play in playoffs, or are you guys going to drop out so that the next First Division team can play in playoffs, which in this case would have been Phoenix Rising. And after quite a lot of questioning, we did actually get proper response from them saying, yes, they will be playing in the playoffs. I think they had to sort out a bunch of things internally, and it just took a bit of time for them to get a solid answer in that regard. But we will be seeing them, and I would imagine they will be pitching up Kazuho for these playoffs, which is their international player. And we have had possible information that they could want to pull him down to Comic-Con if they do make it through playoffs. I can imagine that as a team that has made it this far already, you don't want to stop now. You want to keep it going, and the 2 forfeits that they had to put forward could be quite demoralizing, but I can imagine them coming out on top. And I mean, they have a very nice safety net with the Res clan as well.
Did they play Kazuo at all this league?
Yeah, I think they did in the beginning, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at the
I
start
remember
they did.
seeing and hearing of his name.
Okay.
Yeah, at the start, yeah.
Yeah, so he was on their active roster at the start for their main roster, so I'm not too sure what happened in that situation. Of course, there are 2 reserves, Minor, as well as Chippy, which I'm not too sure. I think we actually saw. I'm not sure if it was both of them or one of them was playing on the main roster for a bit. I'm not too sure who was sitting out. But we'll have to see what they decide to do here. I do think that it's going to be an uphill battle against Dominion. I mean, that's tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, and everyone can watch and find out. Then moving to the next one,
Should be exciting.
Project Allflex. Well, it's no longer Project Allflex. I keep doing this. It's now Inexorable Project
No,
versus.
Prodigy. Isn't it Prodigy? Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah. You're talking about playoffs, I forgot.
Yeah, I'm talking about the playoffs here, yeah. And they're going to be up against Prodigy. So Prodigy, although looking very shaky in the standings right now and their current score, I think that it's going to be a very tight battle. I think that Prodigy hasn't fought against Inexorable Project enough, or at least we haven't seen it enough to really draw any much of a conclusion in this regard. What do you guys think about it?
I think if Prodigy gets their like shit together, sorry for my language, they can really pull this through. They have the players. I mean, I always say his name wrong.
Ericsson.
Ericsson. Thank you. Oh, I always get it
think
wrong.
Think of the Sony Ericsson phones.
Ah, okay. I'll try
There
that.
we go.
All right.
Ericsson. There we
Ericsson is
Haha.
a very, very strong player, and
go. Yeah.
I really think that if they can just enable him more and create more space for him,
Yeah.
and he give him chance to pop off, then they should have this like not in the bag, but
And-
it will still be a tough game
Yeah.
because the project being really strong right now. But they really do have the potential, and also if they bring in Fakey,
Yeah, Fake is back now as
he
well.
is
So
so good. Like because they got such two solid DPS players, and if they can just like, they're just gonna have to. Okay, well the playoffs is tomorrow. They don't have a lot of time to practice, but they just need to like get into the right mindset in the right space, and then just work together as a team. It's difficult to do that in a day. That's gonna be really difficult, but I really think the potential is there, and they definitely have like a possibility of taking the game.
Yeah, against Inexorable Project.
Tomorrow night, yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow night at 8. But I'm gonna be on the counter side there, in the fact that Inexorable Project, just what Jen was talking about there, about how good they are at counter picking. I feel like Prodigy looking a bit shaky at the moment. This is the right time for Inexorable Project to come out on top.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I agree, because they will definitely abuse that, like the fact that they know how to play, and they're very good at whatever map they play, and they know exactly what comp to bring out. And at the moment, I could see from last night's cast that Prodigy wasn't sure what they wanted to play. It's like they're playing 1 minute dive, they're playing 1 minute death ball. They just like never had that identity. So if they stick to just one thing, then it's gonna be very hard for them. So they need to do their research on Project at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, they haven't had much time, but I feel like in this situation, any time you get is enough time for you to try and work something out. And I honestly hope both teams, I wish them the best there, because that is going to be a very tight match to see who comes out on top. And of course, winner of the two matches going on there are going to be taking winner A and winner B over to Thursday for the playoffs to decide their standings, because whoever wins on Tuesday from both of these matches will be going to the top 8 of Comic-Con. However, on Thursday it decides what the seeding is. And seeding, as small as it might be because you're already going to Comic-Con, it is extremely important because it decides what level of team you're up against in the start of the bracket. And Liz, I actually think that you have a bit of information on this in regards to VS Gaming's rules and something that might affect your team going into this.
Well, it was going to. So the whole thing was just like the forfeit, the Perseus forfeit was going to, okay, yes, give us a win, but it wasn't going to give us the map win percentage. So our percentage is currently 50%, where it would have been more if we 3-0'd Perseus. And the whole conflict would have come in if GG beat Unidentified on Sunday. Then we both would have had the same wins, and the win percentages would then have mattered in order to see who is fourth and who is fifth, just by looking at the win percentages. So that was going to be the problem, but now because Unidentified beat GG, it's not a problem anymore, because now you see the percentages are like really far apart, and also because GG's 3-on-3 and win on 4, so there wasn't like the win percentage was never going to play a role anymore, but it would have if they did take Unidentified. It would have been a huge, like fourth and fifth place would have been a huge influence on the seeding. And that was what my worry was, but it was fallen up on deaf ears anyway, and unfortunately GG did now lose, unfortunately for them. So it now kind of sorted itself out, but I mean, in the future, this could happen again. And like VS just, they said that they've been going with the way this works for 3 years now. So why change it? So yeah, if CS:GO, I don't know how it works there, but maybe if it works like CS:GO being the main title game. Maybe if something like that happens
Yeah.
there and it gets flagged, then they will act upon it, like you
Yeah.
know, fixing this stuff. But Overwatch is just too small right now for them to worry about
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
really.
For now.
So,
Talking
Yeah.
about GG, there's one thing like in my mind, like you guys beat them quite convincingly this league. What was your guys'
Yeah.
thought process during like before the match, and how like did you study the VODs? Because you guys were like really like countering them so well, and you made sure the carries were shut down immediately, and it was actually a really good game to watch. Like you could see the like how much time you guys put in as a team in that game alone.
Yes, I feel we knew exactly what we were going into, because we knew that Lazarus, he's a really good player, and we knew that he likes going for long flanks and crazy mad flanks, and we just kept during the game. We kept comms up, we kept tabs on Lazarus, made sure that he can't sneak around, get a 3K on his widow, that kind of thing. So props to our supports and DPS for keeping tabs on him so well. And in general, I think we were just really hyped for the game, because either way it was gonna be a close match, and when that's the best time to sort of have the best comms, of the team energy, keep the energy up, and so that it was really the best possible situation for us to prove our strength and
I loved
really show what we can do.
I loved your guys' defense on King's Row, that the Ursa Hog Diva one support. That's like a pro strat, and you guys did it so well, and it was funny to see. Not to disrespect GG, they're still a very good team, but it was funny to see how they were trying to figure out how to counter that, and it's a strat that is very hard to counter. It's something that just Diva goes down, drops on, and I see you guys were like well coordinated, getting onto the point, making sure they don't get any percentage. And I have to say,
as you say, it's a great strat, and I've been watching a lot of the pro strats and trying to study them, see why they run this, and get the idea behind it, because there's a reason they run it, and if we're all at the level where we can get to that level of thinking. So if we understand the idea behind the comp, we sure as hell can run it. And
I like that confidence. Well. That definitely ticked a lot of alpha points right there.
Like I agree with Riposte on this one, because it's like it's a tricky comp, because it's also the comp where you need to like trust one another. It's like
a lot of self-discipline.
Yeah, because the Diva will go down, and if the Diva doesn't get that pocket, it's gonna die like instantly. So it's like
but at the end, then you just want to say that A-team quote, "I love it when a plan comes together." It works out nicely.
Yeah, it was amazing to see.
Yeah, so I mean, I've actually sadly missed that game. I was going to be casting it to I think that was the one that I was going to be casting.
Yeah,
and
it was.
I was just terribly sick, and I couldn't make it, sadly. So I still actually need to go back on that VOD and watch that one. But just to add on to that, I know I was actually talking to Liz before the match, and Liz was saying that you guys as a team kind of had a mental block against Goliath Gaming. That every time you fought against them, they would come out on top because you guys just weren't quite able to make it. What did you guys do to overcome that?
I would say, like the game that we had versus them, our comms were probably the best it's ever been, and we've been working on our comms for like before their game, like a week before we played GG. We've been working so much on our comms, trying to get everyone to talk, because it's usually just the usual people that talk, and like we had like two other people also talk, and I just like, even though I felt like our comms were quite like a shit show, it was all over the place, it still worked, because it's better having it all over the place than having nothing or having too little to like too much comms is better than too little.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think our hearts were at the right place in our mentality. Like going into the game, we were all so amped for it and ready to go. And like we had a bit of a like I had a bit of a speech before the time. And it worked. Everything just came together so well for that game. Like when we played
Yeah.
Unidentified, we played terribly. And I mean, they still like they're a super strong team, but we have taken maps from them before, and we just couldn't get anything right against them this time.
Yeah.
And so I think that game, like we played bad there, and I can say like full-heartedly versus GG, we played really good. They didn't play bad. Like they say that they had an off game, and yes, maybe they did. We wouldn't know because you know we don't play for them. But
Yeah.
we did have a really
Yeah.
good game versus them specifically, and we were just all at the right, like in the right mindset, I think, and the comms were just on point.
From
Yeah,
the,
I like the fact that you. Oh, Jen, take it away.
No.
I'll-
Okay, cool. Sorry, man. From the outside looking in, I see they made a swap between Asgardian and
Z-Lord, yeah.
Z-Lord, which I think it's probably going to be a tough one for them to adapt to, because
Yeah, that
it-
could have had an influence on it, definitely.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't know what game was casted before, and I saw that swap happening, and I saw also Barnacle mention it a couple of times in the moderator Discord, and he was also like questioning that decision, but I don't know, they probably do have a plan on that. But seeing that it's like swapping a main tank, and any team will tell you this, it's like it's not the easiest thing to change, because a main tank is your stability. It's like your team knows where to hide if it's like, you know, if it's struggling, or your support will know that your Winston is going to come in and like, you know, peel for you. And swapping that and getting another player to do all that what the previous main tank did is not easy to swap.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
It did feel like they were less aggressive than we've known them to be.
Yeah, they're
And-
signature aggressive.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like we took advantage of that really well. And we also played a lot of Orisa, also on Rialto, and you have to obviously try and I think they mostly played Reinhardt.
Yeah.
Or wait, yeah, I think so. But either way, you want to get into the Orisa's face before she can, with the help of her teammate, poke you down. So
Yeah.
you need to sort of be aggressive and take initiative. And I think because of the main tank swap, they might have not been as confident in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be a very big shake-up for a team. Doing that, and I honestly can't remember the justification for it, but they've been trying it kind of on and off for their team. I have seen, I mean, I was talking to Lag Beast about it, that there were definitely reasons. As I said, I can't quite remember them. But what I was gonna say earlier was more of a humor point. Was just saying that Liz dropped down the persona of slave driver and took up the persona of troop rallier and raised the morale to take on GG, and it definitely worked well for you guys. And I like the fact that morale and synergy work so well with you guys and your chemistry with your team. I think that's really, once we start building fans coming forward, and we've already seen quite a few rooting for quite a few teams coming from different scenes or looking from the outside in, I think that's something that you guys are able to make your signature for your team, which is really nice going forward to have that.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't see it like that, but yeah.
Everyone has their reason for liking a team, and I think you guys are
That's
the most
true.
wholesome one. Although you have the angriest logo. So
Oh, yeah, we do actually. Angry wolf.
But talking about angry logos brings me to 8-Bit Oddity, currently in 6th place on the log. They were previously part of the Omnius clan, alongside Interitus, and they have since broken off of the Omnius clan and have started up their own team, named it 8-Bit Oddity, and they were picked up recently by an MGO as well. It looks like most of the Prem teams at the moment are being picked up by MGOs, which is absolutely fantastic going forward as well. I'm just trying to think of I think it's Sentinel Esports. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm very bad with names, and I don't have it with me in front of me. And they have been showing up really well after being picked up by Sentinel here. I've been very impressed. Last night we saw a solo 5 kill from Mito9, who is
Yeah.
their DPS player. And I mean, that has just been going round, that has just been taking rounds throughout the community. Everyone's been watching it. It's been shared on Twitch, it's been shared on Facebook, and people have been loving it because that is a pop-off like we've never seen before. Or the short amount of times that we do see it, it's not this powerful. I mean, a solo 5k is almost unheard of in
It was great
Overwatch.
to see. It was very cool to see. Yeah. Mito, yeah, standout player in the
8-bit.
what's their team?
8-bit.
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 Obviously.
Yeah, standout player in 8-bit. I mean, we played against him, and he was definitely
Yeah.
one of the guys we had to watch out for. So yeah, that was cool to see live as well.
Yeah, I played against him in first division, quite a while ago when I was still under Prodigy, and I was playing Trace at the time, surprisingly. So, and it was hard. And he was playing McCree. He was just keeping
Oh.
every angle on me. I couldn't get close to him, so I was like, screw this. I'm not gonna try to get you anymore. I'm gonna go attack your tanks rather.
Yeah, and looking at 8-bit Odyssey, just focusing on the players a bit more, because I think it's easier for us to do that in Prem because of the prominence that we see of them and the amount of broadcast that Prem gets in comparison to First Division. What I was speaking about earlier with Seraphim and Mutant Gun swapping between that support and tank role where they see fit, I think that's a very strong synergy, although we do also see Seraphim moving away from the team, going into more of a coaching role. And it was actually interesting seeing him play last night because I did speak to him previously, and he was saying that he's looking to actually play for his team less. He's been picking up casting as well to get more involved with the community instead of the team. But he will be taking a... I'm not sure if he's going to remove himself from the roster and just be exclusively the coach. But he definitely showed off that he can play last night. So that's nice to see, and the synergy is still there between them. But I'm interested to see who they pick up to take over his position. I think that's going to be quite important going forward. And then, of course, that picks up, that's the number 6 in our current seeds for Comic-Con for Premier Division. If we go up, I mean, we've already talked quite a bit about Goliath Gaming and 2CP, but I do want to bring up just another topic, is that Goliath Gaming have dropped an immense amount compared to where we usually see them. We usually see them between...
No, they were
Third,
fourth
yeah.
loss. They were
Yeah.
this
Last leg they were
They-
third, I
they-
think.
Yeah, they were
No,
third
they
last
were
leg.
four. The unidentified.
But
no,
unidentified, there was the previous leg they were.
Yeah,
Previous
they
leg,
were.
yes.
It was leg 2 that was like the top 3
Yeah.
was super close, and it was
Yeah.
GG
Yes,
Blue
it
States
was,
and
yeah.
Eden, and then it was unidentified and us, and then last leg GG was fourth. So
Yeah.
we kind of took
But-
their place this leg.
Yeah, so the thing is that GG was dicing between position 3 and 4 in the current fight. And then we saw last leg they dropped to 4, and now in this leg they dropped to 5. And I don't think it's any fault of their own. I think that the pools around them have been working very hard and have gotten a lot stronger. And of course, as we've spoken already, Goliath Gaming swapping roles of 2 of their players and trying that out and switching it back a few matches and switching that's a bit of a back and forth. And I think that's a very good way to train going forward. They knew that they were a strong enough team to definitely get placed for Comic-Con going forward. And I think being able to get that intense match with a lot on the line, with the new rosters bouncing back and forth, is very important for them. So I can see, as much as they only have a 33.33 win percentage here with 3 wins, 4 losses, and the maps, that means that they lost 2 in every 3 maps, essentially. I do still think that they have a very good running for top 3 coming Comic-Con.
Definitely.
Yeah, because they are a team that they're basically Goliath aggressive gaming. Like, they're known for their aggressive play, and they're able to orchestrate it extremely well. I think that they're just a bit shaky with the roster swaps here, but well, not roster swaps, the position swaps, but I can see them coming back from that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that you guys are going to have a huge run back against them if you guys see each other in the standings. just seeing as you guys taking them 3-0 this leg, I think that they are ready to take revenge come Comic-Con if you do go up against each other.
Definitely, yeah. It's gonna be a big game, definitely.
Mm.
Yeah, and I'll be looking forward to that main tank matchup, of course.
You just want to dominate the main tank, assert your dominance. Go
I'm
forward.
sure every main tank, when they come up against Riposte, they are scared. They are- Dude, I won't forget a game against you guys in Gibraltar, and you were just owning that high ground, dude, on the first point. And it was so scary coming up against you, and you were in the Winston, dude. You were just like jumping in and out, and I was like, I remember shouting,
my
"Just
map."
kill the Winston, kill the Winston." He's diving alone. Yeah, it was-
You gotta sometimes you gotta be sneaky with Winston as well, because you know they're gonna try and as soon as you don't have a way to escape, they're gonna get on you. So yeah, it's a great hero to play and figure out how to maneuver yourself,
Yeah.
try to dominate the whole map with one jump ability that's like on a 6-second cooldown. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are actually just talking about the hero now, going into the mechanical side of Overwatch, is people that are new to the game or are not that experienced look at Winston, they're just like, oh, he's just a meat shield, he's just a big tank that jumps on you, his damage output isn't that high, but he can stick to you and such. But they don't realize how much actually goes into landing the perfect Winston jump, for example, and splitting up the team and
Yeah.
dividing and conquering, because that's what he's there for. And being able to do that, as you're saying there, working out exactly where you need to go and landing it probably feels so good.
Yeah.
Managing to get the right one that wins the fight from the
Yeah.
first 3 seconds of the fight starting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it does, especially because you know they're shouting monkey, 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 and then if you're able to get out of there with your life, then you're like, yes,
Yes.
I won this
Yes.
interaction.
Score!
Look, yeah,
So-
for me, Winston is still
tough.
like, it's the skill gap to be like the best Winston is quite high. It's like to get on those levels of like, Fisher XQC type of vibes. It's like
Yeah.
that they like understand what they need to dive on like to the core. You know what I mean? And it's not
Yeah.
easy.
It's not easy at all. He's often an underestimated hero in regards to skill ceiling. I'd say he
Yeah.
has a very low skill floor. You can pick up Winston, you can play him, but playing him very well is a lot harder than it seems to make it,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of it comes down to decision making over mechanical skill. With Winston, that's very important. But
Let's just
moving on from
we need to move on now. I think we going
yeah,
to...
that's what I was about to say. Like, holy shit.
Yeah,
we're
sorry
really
guys,
dragging this out.
I'm going off topic
Yeah.
here, so I'll stop now. I'll leave it to you, Cloud.
It's not
That's fun though.
Not a problem, don't you worry. But yeah, as I was saying, I mean, you guys have put up a 4-3 win-loss, which is positive win-loss. However, your maps were 50%. So that is a little bit shaky on the win percentage. You guys have just made it, but you guys have done very well in regard to the win-loss, and that's what matters most. So getting 15 points there, that's 13 above Goliath Gaming, being able to get those wins and secure a very nice middle spot in the Comic-Con placements for that bracket. I mean, I'm gonna say well done to you guys here. You can feel all fluffy inside and all that. But the
Definitely
fight
do.
is the fight is long from over. Of course, heading to Comic Con, that's where you're gonna fight your biggest battles, and it's gonna be extremely exciting in that regard. But looking over at the top 3 that we have seen, I'd say for the past 2 legs, including this one. Unidentified, Boostios, and Eden. If we look at I mean, there's not actually that much to say about these teams right now. They've been performing every leg, and Unidentified seemingly came out of nowhere.
They're just getting stronger.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah,
they're just getting stronger each
Yeah.
leg.
Yeah, they really are. And they don't really have the blind side on their side anymore. They can't. Teams are expecting it.
Yeah, I think their next thing they need to work on as a team is a plan B, because when I've seen the games against Boostios, you could see for example in Rialto, Boostios was holding that position as
Yeah.
with dive on the first point, and Unidentified couldn't answer it. They were blind diving onto the Zenyatta all the times. But once they understand how to play the dive comp and they have that plan, that strat in their pocket, like knowing how to play
Yeah.
dive effectively, they'll be a really good team. Just like the basic stuff they need to just get down as a good team, like first controlling a map before doing a hard dive, which will be
Yes.
huge for them. So I think they like so close of cracking that for themselves. So let's see. I believe they're all grinders, and I know like I've spoken to Squishy so many times, and he's a very intelligent dude when it comes to Overwatch, and
Yeah.
I will expect them to like crack that break that barrier very soon.
Yeah, I think Unidentified, just on that, I mean, they've been an absolute powerhouse of a team. I've always described them as each player having a very high amount of individual skill, and each leg we can see them building that synergy and putting their individual skill and mechanical skill together to bring out compositions and play them properly on maps. But I like your input there of they need a plan B and a plan C, probably. They need
Yeah.
to be able to adapt a bit more. And I mean, that's what they need to be working on, and they have a month until Comic-Con. So they have quite a lot of time to really focus it, get some international scrims, play against teams 1,000 times better than you, get stomped, and just learn from. I think is going to be a very big thing for them. Of course, them winning. Well, their current standing of 5 wins and 2 losses, taking that. So then we get the two. I think the best way for me to describe these two are like the two titans of South Africa watch. Really is probably the best way to describe them. Because every single leg they are at the top. I'm actually. I just need to go back. Actually, I'm quite sure Boostio has dropped below Unidentified last.
Yeah, last leg, yeah, they were
Yeah,
third.
they're
Unidentified
third,
yeah.
beat them, yeah.
But but regardless, they're always top 3, and Eden
Always, yeah.
is always first. I mean, right now in this leg,
Boosters were first leg 2.
that's before my
or
time. That's why I
1.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it's like 1 or leg 2.
I think it was leg 1. I think it was leg 1 that they were first.
Yeah, but boosters have they have been first as well.
Yeah.
But
So-
yeah, Eden being first most of it.
yeah,
Majority
most
of the time.
majority
Yeah.
of the time, yeah. Like recent time, Eden right now in this leg, 100% win, hasn't dropped anything at all. They are not a shaky team at all. They are very hard to deal with. They know what they're doing, and we've seen some very unorthodox compositions coming out from them as well. I mean, we have seen Griff over on the oh my word, she's so underplayed. I forgot her name. The Symmetra.
Symmetra? Yeah.
Yes. I can't believe I just. I
Symmetra,
failed.
Symmetra, dude.
Symmetra. Okay, I'm so sorry. So,
Inside joke.
Huh.
well, it's just me being unable to pronounce
It's a-
them. It's
yeah.
almost as bad as me calling Riposte Riposte. But let's not go back to that.
Ouch.
But these two teams constantly on top. I feel like they are the teams to watch. Both of them have very large MGOs behind them as well. Boostios have White Rabbit Gaming and Eden have Energy Esports. Both of those are probably the 2 biggest or most successful MGOs in South Africa, save for Bravado Gaming, doesn't have a team for Overwatch. So I'm not too sure what we're going to see happen at Comic-Con. Of course, they just have a free ticket there, and well, not really free ticket. I mean, everyone expected them to go there at the top of the seed as well. We'll have to see how the bracket is generated, where they get put with the seedings, to see if they face each other early, which I doubt, or if we're going to see, will we see them again in the finals, or are we going to see a massive upset from Team 3, 4, and 5 in Unidentified, Bezerk, 2CP, and Goliath Gaming? Because at this point, I still feel like teams have a bit something hidden in their pocket. They've got a bit more. I mean, we have huge changes coming up with Hammond coming out now. We're actually going to see him in the playoffs as well. There hasn't been a gentleman's agreement yet not to play him. So, I mean, I think it's going to shake things up quite a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be a lot of options, and it's going to be a lot of flexing around, trying to counter them.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
We're gonna-
Where yeah, I think the flex players who can play everything
Yeah.
is really gonna shine and stand out.
We're possibly
regard,
gonna
yeah.
see a 3-dive meta coming out when Hammond comes. That's what I've been hearing. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the pros play him.
Yeah.
Liz, what do you know? What are you not telling us? I just heard a very stern.
Have you, as a team, have you guys been scrimming him at all, trying out? Like,
No, Ashbro has been. He's always trying to sneak in the Hammond there, but like when we still had matches, and I had to force him off Hammond because all he wants to do is play Hammond. So
just
we
let him
definitely
play
gonna start
Torbjorn
this week.
instead.
No, that's no, actually. It was already a mission to get him off Torbjorn, and now Hammond is next. So at least we can now prepare with Hammond. So he gets to play him now.
And deep down, he's a Hanzo main as well. So
oh gosh, he's all the cancer mains for some reason. Hopefully Hammond doesn't find the cancer yet. But yeah, Ashbro loves his cancer.
This is amazing. Like, it's less and less like you're a slave driver. Now it just sounds like you're looking after kids at a crash.
No,
Ashbro,
literally
don't dive too deep. Ashbro, no, get off that Torbjorn. No, you're not allowed to play Hammond. Get back in the position.
What I sound like. I promise you that's what I sound like. You can ask him. Like, I have to tell him, no. Ashbro, no, you go on Diva now, no Hammond yet. Next week is Hammond time.
But I want to play him.
I want to play him now. No, just one game. No, next week. It's literally like that.
I would love
like
to.
I have
I'd love
children.
to sit in comms and listen to that just for like a minute.
Yeah, no, it's literally that's what it sounds like. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Poor Rip
Well-
has to listen to that.
Yeah,
Rip
I'm
is
like
a
the
good
behaved
boy.
child.
He's
I'm
a
the
very
well-behaved.
behaved child. Because I think he might be a bit scared to take me on. But
Deep
That's
down,
not
I'm-
very alpha.
the
of you,
rest
Rip.
don't care.
Well, anyways, I think it's time to wrap up. This has
Yeah,
been quite
yeah.
a long episode. We've had a lot to talk about, and I think I babbled on for way too long about too many things. But thank you so much, VirgoLiz, and thank you so much, Riposte. It has been absolutely fantastic having you two on.
Thanks for having us. It was
No
Yes,
fun.
thanks for having us.
Okay, just a quick, like how we normally wrap up things now. Well, we're supposed to be wrapping things. Is where can we find you guys? Like starting with Riposte, like you just mention your social medias and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I will be on Twitch streaming up until regularly up until Comic-Con. So yeah, for the next month or so, I'll be trying my best to stream almost every day. And that'll be on twitch.tv/riposte_ZA.
Cool.
And as for my Twitter, that is at riposte_ZA as well. And I also have a YouTube. You can just find me. It'll be Riposte, I believe. So there you
Awesome.
go.
And
Right.
VirgoLiz?
You can follow me on Twitter if you want. I
If
don't
you
really
want.
do much there, unless I'm following some drama. But it's just VirgoLiz with a double Z at the end.
That's so appropriate right now. On so many levels. But
Yeah.
It's so inappropriate. Okay, so VirgoLiz with a double Z. Thank you so much, everyone, that's been watching. It's been a fantastic night, and I hope everyone else has a great time.
Cool.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Eco Point Cape Town, episode 10.
Yay, guys, bye.
Bye.
Woohoo! Woot woot!